Imagine a pledge so powerful it weathers the fiercest storms of life, yet so subtle it grows in the quiet of everyday choices. Picture two souls standing side by side as time tests their bond with demands of work, family, and the relentless march of technology. Now focus on the woman at the heart of this partnership. Her loyalty not defined by grand gestures or fleeting emotion, but by a steady flame of purpose that anchors the marriage through triumphs and trials alike. In this video, the reality of married women's loyalty. What's your take? We cut through the noise of stereotypes and societal scripts. We'll explore how ancient Stoic wisdom, as expressed by Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca, can transform loyalty from an obligation into an empowered choice. You'll discover how reason, reflection, and intentional habits forge a fidelity that endures far beyond passion's spark. Prepare to challenge your assumptions, ignite your curiosity, and uncover a path to unwavering commitment, one deliberate step at a time. One defining loyalty, beyond romantic idealism. Before we delve into gender or marital specifics, it is essential to understand what loyalty truly means when stripped of romanticized illusions. Loyalty is not the grand declaration whispered beneath candlelight nor the cinematic rescue in the rain. Rather, it is the steady, reasoned commitment that persists long after the initial spark of passion has dimmed. In Stoic terms, loyalty is a rational choice, an exercise of our highest faculty, the faculty of judgment and will. It emerges when we deliberately align our actions with our deepest values, choosing day after day to place another's welfare alongside or even above our own comfort and fleeting desires. This vision of loyalty requires us to transcend emotional fluctuation. Emotions, according to Epictetus, are like passing clouds. They stir the surface but cannot dictate the direction of the mind unless we let them. A loyal partner cultivates an inner citadel of virtue so that faithfulness becomes a habit of reason, not a whim of feeling. Marcus Aurelius reminds us that our actions may be impeded, but there can be no impeding our intentions or our dispositions. The mind adapts and converts to its purposes the obstacle to our acting. In other words, when circumstances test our commitment, whether through stress, distraction, or hardship, the Stoic heart adjusts, reaffirming loyalty through intentional choices rather than simply hoping emotions will remain strong. Moreover, loyalty in marriage transcends mere fidelity. It encompasses a steadfast devotion to mutual growth. True loyalty springs from an appreciation that marriage is not a static possession, but a dynamic partnership. Seneca captures this when he describes a genuine companion as your brother, not by blood, but by a staple of character. In practical terms, this means celebrating each other's triumphs, supporting ambitions, and providing constructive feedback without veiling truth in passive aggression. A loyal spouse encourages her partner's self-improvement while also inviting reciprocal honesty about her journey. This commitment to growth is marked by humility and patience. Loyalty does not demand perfection. Rather, it flourishes in the shared endeavor to cultivate virtue. Just as a gardener tends both the soil and the young plants, a devoted partner nourishes the relationship's foundation, trust, respect, and open communication, while allowing space for each individual's unfolding character. When we hold fast to this vision, loyalty becomes a mutual pledge. Each partner pledges to uphold the other's potential and to weather setbacks with compassion. Finally, defining loyalty through this Stoic lens frees us from societal scripts that reduce a married woman's loyalty to obedience or sacrifice alone. Instead, it elevates her role to that of an active architect in the marriage's moral architecture. Loyalty, then, is not demanding subservience, but inviting collaboration, a conscious alignment of wills towards shared virtue. In this spirit, both partners assume equal responsibility for the relationship's health, recognizing that true loyalty is a living practice sustained by rational intention, mutual respect, and unwavering dedication to each other's flourishing. 2. Historical perspectives on married women's loyalty. To understand the present, we must trace the winding path of expectations once placed upon married women's fidelity. In antiquity, the notion of loyalty for a wife was inextricably woven into the legal and moral tapestry of society. Roman law, for example, codified a wife's duty to her husband as an extension of his property rights. A breach of that duty carried consequences not only for her reputation, but for the stability of familial alliances and inheritance. In parallel, Greek city-states prized a woman's chastity as emblematic of civic virtue, linking her conduct to the community's honor. Yet even within these rigid frameworks, Stoic thinkers challenged prevailing conventions. They contended that true moral worth resides in the soul's disposition rather than in compliance with external edicts. For Epictetus, the measure of loyalty lay not in outward submission, but in the steadfast pursuit of virtue, an inward allegiance unshaken by societal strictures. As the centuries progressed into the medieval era, feudal and religious institutions further entrenched the idea that a woman's loyalty constituted the very backbone of family and social order. Canon law imposed strictures on marital faithfulness, framing infidelity as a sin against both divine law and social cohesion. Under this paradigm, loyalty transcended personal commitment. It became a public obligation, policed by ecclesiastical courts and communal oversight. Yet beneath the layers of dogma, medieval women found avenues for agency through letters, poetical laments, and the quiet fortitude of daily labor, which revealed a different loyalty rooted in mutual devotion and private fidelity, rather than mere obedience. The transition to the early modern period heralded subtle shifts. The Renaissance's humanist currents began to emphasize individual dignity, and debates around marriage evolved to include concepts of companionship and shared ideals. Nonetheless, patriarchal norms persisted. A woman's reputation remained tethered to her capacity for unwavering loyalty, and any deviation risked ostracism. Intellectual circles, however, slowly absorbed Stoic precepts, recognizing that virtue is neither gendered nor contingent upon social station. This Stoic influence provided a philosophical bedrock for later calls to reevaluate the moral expectations placed on women. With the Enlightenment's clarion call for reason and equality, voices such as Mary Wollstonecraft contested the entrenched double standards. Writing fervently, she argued that women's loyalty should not be extorted through legal coercion, but earned through genuine partnership. The burgeoning discourse on individual rights reframed marital loyalty as a mutual covenant grounded in rational consent rather than unilateral demand. Still, this era did not instantly dissolve patriarchal legacies. Suspicion toward female autonomy endured even as legal reforms incrementally expanded women's rights in property and contract. By charting these epochs, we see an arc from loyalty imposed by law and custom, through a gradual awakening to inner moral agency, to an Enlightenment assertion of partnership founded on reason. Throughout, Stoic thought served as a quiet undercurrent, reminding each generation that loyalty springs from the consistent application of virtue within the soul, an enduring principle that continues to inform modern perspectives on what it means for a married woman to remain loyal. 3 modern realities, challenges and opportunities. In the 21st century, a married woman's loyalty is tested by the multitude of roles she navigates daily. As career aspirations beckon and professional responsibilities expand, many women find themselves at the crossroads of ambition and domestic devotion. The pursuit of meaningful work can bring fulfillment, autonomy, and a sense of purpose beyond the marital sphere. Yet it can also introduce tension when traditional expectations of household and emotional caretaking clash with the demands of a demanding job. Stoic philosophy offers an antidote. By engaging the faculty of reason, a woman can clarify her deepest values and chart a harmonious path that integrates her professional drive with her commitment to her marriage. This alignment creates an ecosystem in which career successes enrich rather than diminish the partnership. At the same time, modern technology redefines the landscape of temptation and fidelity. Social media platforms and dating apps extend human connection into virtual realms, where emotional entanglements may develop behind screens and profiles rather than across a dinner table. Stoicism teaches us that what truly matters is how we govern our judgments and impulses. A married woman applying this wisdom recognizes that loyalty is not merely outward behavior, but an inner discipline. By exercising mindfulness over her attention and setting clear boundaries around online interactions, she preserves fidelity of both heart and mind. In doing so, she practices the Stoic art of ruling her impressions, ensuring that no fleeting intrigue disrupts the covenant she has consciously embraced. Another crucial factor in modern marriages is the often unseen emotional labor that women perform. Beyond tangible tasks, they frequently become the stewards of moods, the schedulers of social obligations, and the mediators of conflict. This invisible work, while rooted in care and dedication, can accumulate into resentment when it goes unacknowledged. Stoic insight reminds us that justice and fairness are virtues integral to a flourishing relationship. By recognizing and sharing the weight of emotional responsibility, both partners cultivate reciprocity in loyalty. When a woman's unwavering support is met with equal appreciation and participation, loyalty blossoms not as a burden, but as a shared endeavor. Furthermore, financial pressures and global uncertainties add another layer of complexity to marital loyalty. Economic strain may force couples to make difficult compromises, and the instability of modern economies can magnify feelings of vulnerability. A Stoic approach counsels focusing on what remains within one's control: prudence in planning, resilience in adversity, and unity of purpose amidst external upheaval. A married woman grounded in this mindset becomes both a stabilizing presence and a partner in creative problem solving, fortifying the marriage against circumstances beyond anyone's making. Ultimately, the contemporary reality for married women is one of profound opportunity and multifaceted challenge. By applying Stoic principles, reasoned choice, disciplined attention, equitable distribution of effort, and resilient adaptability, women transform potential liabilities into avenues for deepened loyalty. Their commitment evolves from mere obligation into a reflective practice, continually renewed by conscious decisions that honor both their personal growth and the sacred bond they share with their spouse. 4. Stoic principles to foster loyalty in marriage. At the heart of marital loyalty lies a constellation of Stoic practices that transform abstract virtue into concrete, day-to-day habits. First, the dichotomy of control compels us to discern between what we can shape, our judgments, choices, and behaviors, and what remains beyond our reach, such as our partner's decisions or the unfolding of external events. A married woman who habitually anchors her loyalty in this principle resists the futile urge to manipulate outcomes or guard against every uncertainty. Instead, she owns her integrity, confident that her steadfast adherence to virtue will resonate throughout the partnership. Complementing this approach is the practice of personal journaling, modeled by Marcus Aurelius in his Private Reflections. Through regular written introspection, a woman can map the contours of her commitments, the moments when she acted in harmony with her values, the impulses she tempered, and the attitudes she might recalibrate. This exercise is not a mere chronicle of events, but a guided dialogue with oneself, illuminating the underlying motivations and reinforcing a clear, reasoned intent to remain loyal. Daily reflection and gratitude further solidify this inner resolve. By beginning each morning in quiet acknowledgement of one quality in her spouse, be it patience, generosity, or shared humor, and concluding each evening with gratitude for a moment of shared connection, a married woman cultivates a continuous awareness of mutual virtue. These reflections act as emotional anchors, keeping loyalty alive not only through grand gestures, but in the simple, sustaining routines that stitch together everyday life. The Stoic concept of amor fati invites a profound shift in perspective, to embrace every event in marriage, even trials such as misunderstanding, financial stress, or health challenges, as necessary threads in the tapestry of shared experience. Rather than lamenting misfortune or viewing conflict as a betrayal of loyalty, a woman practicing amor fati interprets obstacles as invitations to deepen compassion, to demonstrate patience, and to collaborate on solutions. In this way, adversity itself becomes fertile ground for affirming the marriage bond. Finally, the principle of sympathia reminds us that our loyalty extends beyond the immediate relationship to encompass a universal web of shared reason and humanity. Recognizing commonality with one another and with all who embrace virtue instills humility and empathy. When a married woman remembers that her spouse is a fellow traveler on the same philosophical path, lapses in understanding transform into opportunities for renewed connection rather than sources of resentment. Together, these Stoic practices forge loyalty into an active, evolving discipline. They guide a married woman to steward her character, to cherish her partner's worth, and to bind their lives with a steadfast devotion grounded in reason. In embracing these principles, loyalty ceases to be an abstract ideal and becomes a living, breath-by-breath commitment, sustained by conscious choice and unwavering dedication to the shared pursuit of virtue. 5. Real-world examples and case studies. In the tapestry of daily life, the theories and principles of Stoic loyalty find their most vivid expression. Beyond isolated anecdotes, we observe patterns and common experiences shared by married women who navigate commitments with intentional grace. Consider a professional environment where travel, deadlines, and team responsibilities demand extended absences. Here, loyalty transcends mere physical presence, showing itself in anticipatory communication, thoughtful gestures, and a willingness to adapt plans. The consistent thread in these scenarios is not the particular gesture, but the underlying intention to honor the marital bond through deliberate action, whether across time zones or within the confines of a bustling office. Parallel dynamics arise in households where parenting responsibilities and career aspirations must coexist. In such contexts, loyalty manifests through collaboration in domestic decision-making, equitable distribution of tasks, and shared reflections on family priorities. What stands out is the deliberate choice to view each challenge as an opportunity to reinforce trust rather than a threat to fidelity. When financial pressures mount or unexpected crises arise, illness, job transitions, or sudden relocations, the Stoic ethos presses a married woman to focus on cooperative problem solving. Her loyalty is measured not by an absence of adversity, but by her ability to respond to it with resilience, mutual support, and unspoken assurances that the relationship can endure and even thrive amid uncertainty. Modern technology, too, offers a testing ground for Stoic loyalty. With smartphones in hand and social networks at our fingertips, the potential for distraction is ever present. Yet many married women draw boundaries around personal and professional spheres, curating digital interactions to safeguard the sanctity of their relationships. By practicing intentional moderation, answering messages at designated times, refraining from late-night scrolling, and articulating expectations with their partners, they convert a potential hazard into a demonstration of steady devotion. In these instances, loyalty is less about abstinence and more about mindful engagement, harnessing digital tools to strengthen rather than undermine marital trust. Equally significant is the emotional labor that often goes unnoticed in the tempo of daily routines. This silent work, the coordination of schedules, the intuitive diffusing of tensions, and the meticulous orchestration of family life embodies a potent form of loyalty rooted in care. When recognized and reciprocated, it becomes a shared endeavor rather than a unilateral sacrifice. The Stoic lesson here is the cultivation of fairness. Each partner consciously acknowledges the other's invisible contributions and reciprocates through acts of appreciation and support, thereby knitting a tighter fabric of alliance. Ultimately, the lens of Stoicism reveals that real-world loyalty is not found in dramatic turning points, but in the accumulation of consistent, reasoned choices. Whether it is the planning of a home-cooked meal after a taxing workday, the patient listening during a moment of doubt, or the proactive sharing of future aspirations, each act becomes a brick in the edifice of marital fidelity. Across careers, households, and digital frontiers, the married woman who embodies Stoic loyalty transforms everyday life into a testament of her character, demonstrating that true fidelity arises from conscious intention and is sustained by the rational pursuit of shared virtue. 6. Addressing skepticism and counter-arguments. Despite the robust framework Stoicism provides for understanding and cultivating loyalty, some may question whether these ideals inadvertently uphold inequitable expectations for married women. Critics contend that emphasizing loyalty risks reinforcing gendered burdens, suggesting that women alone must uphold marital harmony. From a Stoic perspective, however, this objection misunderstands the universal application of virtue. Loyalty is not a gendered obligation, but a rational commitment equally incumbent upon all individuals. Whether married woman or man, each person is called to exercise wisdom, justice, courage, and temperance, Stoic virtues that together ground the fidelity integral to any flourishing partnership. To begin, the principle of equality of virtue asserts that women and men alike possess the capacity for rational choice and moral excellence. Stoics rejected the notion that virtue was the province of a particular class or gender. Epictetus taught that true nobility arises from inner character, not external attributes. When we recognize that a married woman's loyalty is simply her rational expression of virtue, no more and no less than a married man's, pressure shifts from one partner to the other, inviting both spouses to share responsibility for the relationship's moral fabric. In this light, loyalty ceases to be a unilateral demand and becomes a mutual covenant of character. Next, the idea of mutual accountability addresses concerns about uneven emotional labor. Critics argue that women disproportionately perform unseen work, scheduling family events, mediating tensions, and sustaining social ties without commensurate recognition. Stoicism's emphasis on justice demands fairness in interpersonal roles. Both partners must practice mindful reciprocity, acknowledging each other's unseen contributions and consciously distributing responsibilities. In doing so, loyalty evolves into a reciprocal pledge. Each spouse supports the other's burdens and celebrates their efforts, thereby dismantling any perception that one gender bears an outsized share of obligation. A further counterargument highlights the potential conflict between individual autonomy and marital fidelity. Some fear that upholding loyalty may silence personal growth, particularly for women striving for career or creative fulfillment. Stoicism, however, frames autonomy and loyalty not as opposing forces, but as mutually reinforcing. The Stoic pursuit of self-mastery deepens an individual's capacity for reasoned choice, enabling a married woman to navigate her ambitions without compromising her commitment to the marriage. By clarifying her core values and practicing self-governance, she affirms her autonomy in concert with her loyalty, ensuring neither virtue is sacrificed. Moreover, evolving social roles prompt skepticism about whether ancient Stoic teachings can address contemporary gender dynamics. While historical contexts have changed dramatically, the Stoic focus on inner dispositions transcends external conventions. Whether a society prescribes strict gender roles or embraces egalitarian ideals, the core Stoic counsel remains constant. Cultivate virtue within oneself, recognize the shared humanity of your spouse, and let reason guide your actions. In this way, loyalty adapts fluidly to new social paradigms without losing its foundational integrity. Ultimately, addressing skepticism through Stoicism requires a clarifying lens that interprets loyalty as an egalitarian, reciprocal, and liberating practice. It is not a tool of coercion or gendered expectation, but an expression of our shared human capacity for virtue. By emphasizing universal moral responsibility, equitable collaboration, harmony between autonomy and fidelity, and the ageless relevance of Stoic wisdom, we transform critiques into opportunities for deeper understanding, reinforcing the conviction that genuine loyalty uplifts both partners in pursuit of a virtuous life together. 7. Practical exercises for cultivating loyalty. Transitioning from Stoic theory to tangible practice requires more than an intellectual commitment. It demands the integration of conscious exercises into daily life. To cultivate loyalty as a lived virtue, one must first engage in deliberate self-examination each day. Begin by reserving a moment at dawn to center your thoughts, reflecting on the intentions you wish to carry into your marriage. Consider what loyalty means for you in concrete terms. The promise of attentiveness when your partner speaks, the resolve to prioritize shared well-being over personal convenience, and the aspiration to respond to challenges with equanimity. Document these reflections in a private journal, using the early silence to strengthen the mental foundation for the day's interactions. Later, throughout the day, remain mindful of opportunities to enact loyalty. As you navigate your commitments, whether professional meetings, household errands, or social interactions, observe how each choice can reinforce your marital bond. When you notice yourself tempted by a distraction, pause and ask whether this impulse supports the partnership you have vowed to uphold. If not, employ a quiet redirection of attention back to commitments aligned with your values, such as sending an unexpected note of appreciation or setting aside moments to inquire authentically about your spouse's concerns. In this way, small acts become acts of Stoic allegiance, woven into the fabric of routine rather than confined to grand gestures. As evening approaches, dedicate time for joint reflection. Create a ritual, perhaps over tea or during a brief walk, where each partner shares one instance from the day when loyalty was tested or affirmed. This exchange is not an occasion for judgment, but a means to heighten mutual awareness. By articulating both successes and lapses, you cultivate transparency and accountability. Listening without interruption and responding with supportive questions fosters a climate of trust, reinforcing that loyalty thrives in the crucible of open dialogue. In addition, integrate periodic retrospection into your practice. At the end of each week, review your journal entries and shared reflections to discern patterns, moments when loyalty felt natural and moments when it required extra resolve. Let these insights guide your adjustments, shaping new intentions for the coming days. If certain habitual pressures emerge, such as time constraints or emotional fatigue, identify small, sustainable actions to bolster your steadfastness, be it setting clearer boundaries around work communications or instituting brief mindfulness breaks to maintain inner stability. Another dimension involves perspective shifts that deepen empathetic connection. Engage in an exercise of imaginative role reversal, mentally stepping into your partner's shoes to comprehend the unseen weight of their daily responsibilities. By cultivating this sympathetic insight, you reinforce a loyalty that honors not only shared ideals, but individual struggles. Recognize the unspoken ways your spouse supports you and express gratitude explicitly, thereby reciprocating loyalty and closing the loop of mutual appreciation. Finally, anchor these practices in a broader vision of shared purpose. Regularly revisit the fundamental Stoic concepts, control of impressions, amor fati, and sympathia, to remind yourselves why loyalty matters beyond momentary comfort. In doing so, you transform practical exercises into a cohesive discipline, an evolving practice that, through deliberate reflection and reciprocal engagement, embodies the rational, unwavering dedication at the heart of marital loyalty. 8. The reality of married women's loyalty. As we draw this exploration to a close, we recognize that the reality of married women's loyalty cannot be reduced to a checklist of behaviors or a catalog of sacrifices. Through the lens of Stoicism, loyalty reveals itself as an ongoing act of reason, a commitment woven into the fabric of daily living by conscious choice and unwavering intention. It is neither inherited from tradition nor compelled by obligation, but cultivated through the deliberate alignment of one's values with one's actions. In this synthesis, the Stoic principles we have examined, discernment of control, journaling and reflection, gratitude, amor fati, and universal connectedness, form a coherent pathway. They invite a married woman to steward her inner character, to engage with her partner as an equal collaborator, and to respond to life's inevitable trials as occasions to reaffirm mutual fidelity. This holistic approach frees loyalty from constrictive stereotypes and reframes it as a dynamic, participatory practice in which both spouses share responsibility and reap the rewards of a trust deepened by virtue. Moreover, by situating loyalty within the broader canvas of human flourishing, we dispel notions that it is an exclusive demand placed upon women. Instead, it stands as a testament to our shared capacity for reason, empathy, and moral excellence. A married woman's loyalty thus becomes an expression of her agency, an empowered choice rather than a passive duty, and a reflection of her commitment to a partnership grounded in reciprocal respect. Ultimately, the reality of married women's loyalty emerges not through grand declarations, but through countless moments of intentionality, the tempering of a reactive impulse, the gentle inquiry after a difficult day, the patient endurance of a test to the relationship. Each of these moments, guided by Stoic wisdom, constructs an edifice of fidelity that endures beyond fleeting sentiment. In embracing this vision, women transcend the dichotomy of romance versus responsibility and step into a space where loyalty is both deeply felt and rationally sustained. As you contemplate your own experience, consider how Stoic loyalty might reshape your approach to love and partnership. Reflect on the ways you can apply these principles to honor the commitments you have chosen and to inspire your spouse to join you in this ongoing endeavor. In doing so, you transform loyalty from an abstract ideal into a living testimony of character, a declaration made not once, but moment by moment through the rational, steadfast pursuit of shared virtue. As our journey through the Stoic path of unwavering loyalty comes to an end, Take a moment to honor the dedication you've already invested in understanding and practicing these timeless principles. Your willingness to explore reasoned commitment over fleeting emotion reflects the essence of Stoic wisdom, that our true power lies in the choices we make, day after deliberate day. We are deeply grateful you've joined us on this exploration, bringing your curiosity and courage to examine what loyalty means in the fabric of modern marriage. Now imagine carrying forward this newfound clarity into each conversation, every challenge, and all the milestones yet to come. Picture each intention you set and each act of reflection, gratitude, or compassionate inquiry as a fresh affirmation of the bond you share. This is more than a philosophical exercise. It is a living practice, one that will strengthen with every conscious moment you devote to it. Do you have personal experiences or questions about loyalty you'd like to discuss? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell for more Stoic wisdom applied to modern life. Thank you for lending your attention and intention to this Stoic exploration. May each deliberate choice you make light the path of shared virtue in your marriage. Until next time, stand firm in reason, extend compassion through action, and let your loyalty be a testament to the power of the human spirit.